Hello, everyone. I'd like to start out as usual by thanking all of you for posting your questions and making this video possible. Let's begin. I've always wondered why, with so many immigrant Italian communities all over the world, why has Cosa Nostra become so prevalent in the US and not elsewhere? Aside from the United States, places like Canada are also home to Cosa Nostra. It essentially has to do with where the Italian immigrants settled. A quick search gave the following results. Italian immigrants began arriving in small numbers in the US as early as the 17th century. And those immigrants took with them those old country values and traditions. When you were in the life, did you know many made guys who had associates that acted as drivers or ran errands for them? Some guys did, but this was more common years ago. As I mentioned, there are certain guys who make good use of their associates, whether driving them or sending them to do something. Did you ever meet Frankie the Wop Manzo or hear any stories of him during your time? No, I've never met him, nor did I hear any stories about him. He was a Lucchese member and in Paulie Vario's crew, and at one time, very big in John F. Kennedy Airport. Who was running the Prince Street crew when Dom Tricello and his acting captain, Tino Corso, were indicted in 2017? And when Corso was released from prison, did he become the official captain? I don't have the answer, at least not 100%, to both those questions, because it was around the time that I walked away, when these things were going on. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Joe Cafe was also overseeing Dom's crew. Then I had heard that Joe Torti was given a captain position. Torti was in Dom's crew at the time, so I'm not really sure. What was your first interaction like with Tough Tony, and did you ever meet anyone in his crew? I never met anyone in his crew. My interaction with Tony was a positive one. As he was a gentleman, I remember that he gave me a little history about his restaurant, the Parkside, and the surrounding property that he purchased over the years. And he was extremely proud of the business that he created. While Vic was the boss during your time, did any members ever mention Anthony Corallo and how he ran the Borgata when he was in power? Do you think the Lucchese's under Corallo function like the West Side in regard to stability and secrecy? I've never heard anyone mention Tony Ducks, and the only person back then with first-hand knowledge would have been Sally Avellino, but he never spoke about him. During Tony Duck's reign, the family was known to be extremely wealthy, and I don't believe they were as secretive as the West Side, but definitely as stable. A person wanted to know about a member of the Mafia who was on the run for 30 plus years and caught living in London by Scotland Yard. Allegedly, Domenico Raccandore was a boss with the Sicilian Mafia, and after being convicted in absentia in 1999, he received a 7-year sentence for mafia association. However, he'd been living in England since 1993, and in 2012, Italy requested that he be extradited. But mafia association is not a crime in Britain, as it's not here in the US. So he was not extradited. He would eventually be arrested the following year in August 2013 in London on a new arrest warrant. Nonetheless, in March of 2014, the court ruled that Raccandore could not be extradited back to Italy because Italian law states that a sentence is extinguished once a period of more than double the time of the penalty has passed, which naturally was the case in 2014. Does researching guys you were in a life with change your perspective on any of them? I would have to say no. Sometimes I'll read something about someone I knew and think to myself, that doesn't surprise me. But overall, the main reason you research is to try to give a wider view. But we all have to be mindful that not everything written or available online is 100% accurate. The following 3 questions are regarding the FBI, so I'll bunch them together. During your time with the FBI, it sounds like I was employed by them. Were you ever asked about individuals they suspected to be members? Yes, on plenty of occasions. And every now and then, they would have an associate labeled with the wrong family. And once or twice, they had no idea someone identified as an associate had since been straightened out. Did they ever let you know about active members working with them? Never by name. But they had several members who were providing them information. And as I've stated in the past, they had the most intel coming out of the Lucchese family. They literally knew everything going on inside that family. They'd even bring my name up to their confidential sources to shake the tree and see what was being said. Do you think the feds are stretched too thin to follow the mob like they did in the past? When manpower was key, understandably with fewer agents, it makes the FBI's job that much harder. But with their high-value informants and technology at their fingertips, I believe they have the ability to monitor the mob more closely than years ago. These guys have to go into a room with no cell phones and have a conversation in whispered tones. And even with being that cautious, there's always a chance that one of the people in that conversation is cooperating confidentially with the FBI. Anything new with your friend Vinny, which is obviously a false name that I gave this person. He's fine. I can't really say too much as far as what he's been up to, as I don't want to expose him. For instance, let's say hypothetically, Vinny opened up a new business, which he didn't, and I was to mention that, it may narrow down the search. Speaking of which, he's heard a few people mention who they believe he is. And that list consisted of about 3 people, with his name not being one of them. So obviously, he hasn't walked away or made his departure as of yet. I can add something he told me, and that is, he said he feels like vomiting every time he sees another person create a YouTube channel. He claims I'm the only person he listens to while driving, but I told him he's full of shit, and he insists he's being honest and not, as I quote, blowing air up your ass. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like. Supposedly, it helps with YouTube's algorithm. And for anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or help me to continue making them, you can donate with the super thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me remind everyone of my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially those of you who, like myself, still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. And for the final question, this comes from a 42-year-old Italian who works with 20-year-olds. Our age bracket had stories about fights, picking up girls, and hustling to make money, etc. These kids barely leave the house and don't even want a driver's license. Did you ever think you would see the mindset of younger men change so quick? And do you think they're trading on a bad path, the street life, for another, life stuck in their bedroom on a computer? We've all witnessed generational change. Our parents did it with us, and we with our children. And while most of these young kids are content to stay home, playing video games or on their computers, rather than be in the street, my feeling is we don't have to worry about these kids who are in their houses versus them being out in the street, getting into who knows what. It's the lesser of two evils, so to speak. Look at it this way. People like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates were doing the same, and look where it got them.